Get in on the action this season with Underdog's Pick'em game. Select higher or lower between 2 and 8 players and compete for up to 325 times your entry. Use code DIRECTOR when signing up to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Yo to Bolt fam. It's the Director, baby. Oh, we have finally arrived. The first game preview for the regular season. The season opener is coming up this weekend, man, and I could not be more stoked. I'm actually starting to lose sleep early in the week in anticipation of this game. I am so excited to see the Chargers take on the Chiefs this Friday in Brazil. A very interesting situation for the Chargers to open up the season that's layered with a whole bunch of narratives, man. We got the rookies coming in. We got the year twos coming in. We got the Jim Harbaugh follow-up season coming in. And then the schedule, guys, is absolutely insane going in after this game. There's a lot to put in front of us for this one, a lot to pay attention to. Players are in, players are out. What's the emphasis? How do we win? We're going to unearth all of that in today's game preview episode, man. It's going to be a good one. But before we do, man, we got to get a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Underdog. Use code DIRECTOR to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. But guys, if you're a newcomer around here, take advantage of this one here, dude. Oh, play 5, get 50 in bonus funds. This is absolutely awesome. You guys want to get in there, get your feet wet, right? Throw a $5 down on the Chargers, and then instantly get $50 to play with in the season. It's a great way to jump in, and it's also a great way to support my platform while having some fun along the way. And if you guys are wondering, if you guys want a little help from old Director on some of the picks that I'm choosing to roll out the season, there's going to be more you guys can see on my Twitter and throughout the videos as well. But yeah, you can take a look here on the screen, man. We got Kelsey and Hampton, for the upcoming game for the Chargers, as well as, don't forget, tomorrow is kickoff for the season. We got Barkley and Ferguson here as well. If you guys want to copy or fade, whatever you want to do, there you go. And we'll be sharing with you guys along the way all of our picks as the season goes on. It's going to be a good time. Before we do kick things off, hit us up with a like and sub if you guys do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it. Lights, camera, action.
Who's got it better than us?
Your Chargers versus Chiefs Week 1 preview. I'm so stoked, dudes. I cannot wait for Friday. If you guys don't know already, if you're new to the channel, whatever, I do a live reaction to the games here on the channel for pretty much every game in the season, and this Friday is going to be nuts, man. I would fully expect a couple thousand Chargers fans in the chat hollering and hooting and getting excited for this season to kick off. Let's start things off like we typically do in these videos. Who's playing? Who's in? Who's out? Now, I will say this. The Chargers are off to a good start. It doesn't mean that the team is in a place where I would have been super excited about at the top of the season. Yes, there's guys that we lost for the year early, like Rashawn Slater, that are going to make the season very interesting. But for this game in particular, we do have some good news. And yes, I'm going to say some very good news in terms of Najee Harris, man. So far, again, Najee Harris, he's practicing in full. Elijah Molden also practicing in full. Chargers look to be more or less pretty good going into this week, and it's a very, very good sign. Having Najee Harris back is a huge deal. Now, I don't know how much he's going to play. We have to wait and see. We did hear a coach talking about how he might be eased in. We're not sure how much he's going to take in terms of a workload. We also have to keep in mind that he has not played, or I should say practiced, a lot in the offseason due to that eye injury, so there may be some, again, a curve coming into the season for him as he gets up to speed. But I think the big highlight here to think about with the injuries is on the Chiefs side, funny enough. Let's take a look here. The Chiefs, as of Wednesday, are going to have a bit of a predicament at receiver. Now, of course, I'm sure a lot of you guys will know the Chiefs will be without their number one guy, Rashee Rice, in this one. He's been suspended 6 weeks, I do believe, so we're not going to see him in this one. But the other guy that we've heard a lot about in the offseason, a player that I was pretty high on in the NFL draft, is Jalen Royals, who doesn't look like he's playing this game. He has been declared out. You can see that at the top of the screen there. He will not be contributing to the Chiefs' passing attack, which leaves some pretty limited options out there. We'll talk a little bit more about the Chiefs wide receiver situation here in just a second. Other guys to kind of keep an eye on, just mainly the limited practice guy here in Amar Norman, and again, another defensive lineman that I was pretty high on in the draft. I'll have to kind of wait and see how he shakes out, but more or less expect a majority of these guys on the field, which, of course, we don't want anybody injured. We want a fair fight. We want everybody to be out there and participating and enjoying the sport. And, it is what it is out here. So Christian Fulton is one to keep an eye on. Again, another Chargers, or I should say ex-Chargers, cornerback here in his revenge game, if you want to think about it that way. Drew Tranquil maybe the same way, too. There are narratives to follow there. But the big one, the receivers for the Chiefs, keep that in mind. They're going to have to do a little maneuvering in their season opener as well. Let's move on to some of the narratives in this game that get me absolutely pumped for Friday. The first one being something of, somewhat of a double-edged sword here. The Chargers will be playing in Brazil, and this is a pretty big, topic of conversation among Chargers fans. The moment that we found out we would be the international game, let alone the season opener, let alone our home game. Which I get it, man. The moment I heard about this, I think the biggest reaction I had internally was crap. I don't like thinking of the Chargers being at a disadvantage throughout the whole season in terms of losing a home game. Who knows what the crowd's going to be like out there, but it's more of, the unknowns, the variables, the things that are going to have to be, thought of on the fly and improvised, because the environment is a little bit different. And I wanted to point this out, though, that this is the same case for the Chiefs as well. This is an environment they're also unfamiliar with. We don't know what the crowd's going to be like out there. I don't know how much love Chiefs Kingdom has in South America. I know the Chargers have a decent following in Mexico, maybe Brazil, I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see who shows up, who shows out, who's excited for this one. But more so, I wanted to talk about this as an opportunity for the Chargers. And I think it's a pretty big one, okay? The Chargers playing in Brazil provides a world stage for the Bolts to, let's say, make a statement, okay? The Chiefs, will say, are on, a roll of being a dynasty team. We know this. We know they're a great, a division rival. They have been pretty untouchable for, the better of the last decade. It has been a tough run in the AFC West if your name hasn't been the Chiefs. But slowly over the last, I'm going to say 2 or 3 years, I think parts of that legendary run team have been chipped away. You've got players aging like, Travis Kelce. You got Patrick Mahomes not looking peak, still looking incredible. Let's not lie to ourselves here. They're still a very, very dangerous football team, but they have their weaknesses. And as long as the refs, and I know there's going to be some Chiefs fans watching this, don't take it too personal. I'm not the only one who says this. Chargers fans aren't the only ones who say this. The refs maybe have been a bit lenient towards the Chiefs over the last season or two, especially last season, I'll say. As long as things remain decent in that area, I think the Chargers are among the teams in the AFC West. I think there's 2 of them that could dethrone Kansas City in this season. Okay, I think the Broncos are the other team, in my opinion. We'll talk more about them as we do play them in a few weeks now, right? But right now, the Chargers, in my opinion, are the number 1 team to take down the Chiefs, and this is the first preview that we're going to have of that in 2025, okay? The opportunity that I was alluding to at the top of this segment is the world stage for the Chargers to make this statement, not just to Chargers fans and Chiefs fans, but everybody. The international game is going to have a lot of eyeballs. As you guys can see, this one will be free on YouTube. Everybody's going to be watching it. It's the only game on Friday night, obviously, and it carries with it a large amount of eyeballs that are going to get to see this unfold. And it reminds me of a situation a few years ago with a very similar team in their season opener versus the Chiefs. You guys remember who that was? It was the Detroit Lions. And if you guys remember, back then, the Lions We're not that big of a team yet. Yeah, they were starting to make a little curve. The Campbell, coaching thing was starting to look great. But in that season opener, and I remember this vividly because I was with my buddies in Vegas. We were having our little, get together and celebration, and we were at a restaurant watching the opener versus the Lions. And holy crap, did they take the league by storm? They absolutely went in there and provided a very entertaining game, a memorable game, but ultimately one that they won. Right? They were victorious then. And it kind of opened the entire NFL fandom's eyes to the possibility of the Lions being a real deal. Because, again, the Lions have been more or less a laughingstock in the NFL for very many years. I see something similar in the Chargers in this game. Not only are, we a blueprint of a team similar to the Lions, we have a pretty, up-and-coming run game with two wildly great, running backs, a tough defense, great quarterback. We got these receivers, Amon-Ra to Ladd McConkey, and all this sort of. There's a lot of similarities between the Chargers and the Lions. But now we're going to be that Week 1 team versus the Chiefs, who everybody knows are great. And with all the eyeballs in the world on us, I think we have an opportunity to tell everybody, hey, the AFC West is not locked down by the Chiefs anymore. This is year 2 of the Jim Harbaugh system and team and success, and with it has come so much change. Now, welcome to the new era of Chargers football, where teams like the Chiefs are no longer safe, and the AFC West may find itself a new team at the top. So I honestly, with all the things that are complicated with the situation playing in Brazil, I'm more excited about the opportunity to make that statement similar to what the Lions did in that season opener, I think, 2 years ago, and really open up the eyes of the world that the Chargers are a brand new team under Jim Harbaugh. All right, let's get into some of the specifics of the game, okay? First off, Justin Herbert, he's back. And he's got something to prove. We won't take too long on this because I think a lot of us know what to expect from Justin Herbert at this point. We have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Some people would argue top 5, some argue top 10. I'm firmly in the camp of top 5 quarterback in the league. But the biggest question mark comes around his performance in the postseason, which, of course, has its struggle. Okay, we've not seen a win from Justin Herbert yet. The last game he's coming off of versus the Texans was pretty bad. He's coming into this one with something to prove, especially when going up against another quality quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. You got to come in with your A game. But this kind of leads into my next segment, which is why we're not going to talk too much on Herbert. Herbert's situation this year has improved dramatically. Not only does he have a run game, which, let's be honest, last season was decent. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, they were fine. But now behind Najee and Hampton, and you're going to see some more success there, which is going to help Justin Herbert. But the big thing that I think we can take away from this offseason is the fact that Justin Herbert now has weapons. We didn't know what Ladd McConkey would be. I'm going to say I knew. You guys remember how obsessed I was with Ladd McConkey going into that draft, but we didn't know for sure what he would be in the NFL at that point. Okay? We were very nervous not having Ladd, or should I say not having Keenan and Mike in 2024. Now coming into the season, narrative's different. We know that Herbert's situation has improved. We know what Ladd McConkey is. We know that we've got other guys like the rookies and Conklin and other dudes we're going to talk about in a second that's going to help out his situation, okay? But the biggest one I wanted to start off with is Ladd McConkey. Year 2, one of the best, I think, yes, the best season by a rookie wide receiver in Chargers franchise history. We can lean on him. We know right off the bat what he is, what he's capable of, and why we should feature him in this offense. And this is a big reason why I think the Chiefs are not going to be safe versus the Chargers and Justin Herbert in the passing offense. For one, they're going to have to play the run a little bit more aggressively, which is going to add, maybe some matchup opportunities for Ladd McConkey, some opportunities for him to use that speed. But more so, I think the situation around Herbert and Ladd McConkey have improved to help both of their games out in this one. Ladd McConkey, last season, as soon as we figured out he was the real deal, it started to look like he was the only wide receiver in this offense that could really perform to expectation, right? We were excited about maybe what Josh Palmer looked like in an elevated role and maybe some of the new tight ends, coming in. But ultimately, it was Ladd who popped, and he was kind of the only guy. Now, this season, he's got some help. Watch out, Kansas City, for Keenan Allen, who historically we know has been insane. He's had 1,000+ yards versus the Chiefs combined in his career, which is very, very impressive. But more so, it's going to open up opportunities for both of these guys to really get to work. Whoever you're putting Trent McDuffie on, whether it be Keenan Allen, whether it be Ladd McConkey, is going to open up opportunities for Justin Herbert to hit the open man. Third downs. This is something I'm going to be looking for very aggressively. Third downs is going to be a big thing for the Chargers to prove to me they've improved on this year. And it's really hard to believe that Keenan Allen returning, now paired with Ladd McConkey, aren't going to look very good in third down situations this season. Not to mention early down success running the football. It's going to be awesome. And outside of that, you got Trey Harris. You got, I'm going to say Quentin Johnston. Don't be surprised if he has the biggest play of the day. Of course, Keandre Lambert-Smith, et cetera, that really helps Ladd McConkey break loose. And for that, I think Ladd's going to have a pretty solid day. I would not be shocked to see him hit in and around 100 yards and a touchdown on this one. Even with the Chargers maybe focusing on the run for the most part, it feels like Ladd really has the space to operate and dominate in this one. Let's talk about some of the other receivers in that wide receiver room all of a sudden. I think the other big one I'm kind of looking for in this one is going to be Trey Harris. I would say that I'm more expecting Quentin Johnston to be the second best wide receiver of the day, even with Keenan Allen out there. I think Keenan's going to pull a lot of coverage. I think he's going to look, pretty nice in some situations, but I think Quentin might be the guy to pull the big plays. But I do expect to see a lot of Trey Harris out there too. And this first look's going to be very, very important for Trey Harris. The Chargers, who I'm going to say are not in the most stable situation when it comes to an outside receiver, X-receiver in particular, are going to be looking for Trey to maybe fulfill that role. Now, of course, they're going to be intelligent with how they use him. I don't think he's going to be that sacrificial X the entire game. They got other guys that can kind of do that. And, Keandre Lambert's been playing a lot of that, maybe a little bit of Quentin Johnston as well. But Trey Harris's ability to go up there and attack in coverage while being covered is very reminiscent to me of like Mike Williams. And we know what Justin Herbert looks like with a wide receiver with that kind of skill set. I'm excited to see what Trey Harris can do. I'm excited to see if Keandre Lambert-Smith gets in the mix at any point here. We've talked about him having plays designed for him throughout the season to help stretch the field and try and attack opponents deep. This is one of those situations I'd like to see that. Justin Reed is not with the Chiefs anymore. So watch out for the first year, hopefully new X receiver for the Chargers and Trey Harris, maybe sprinkle in a little Keandre Lambert as well. But the player I think may end up shocking a lot of people in being one of the best targets for Justin Herbert in the day through the air is going to be Tyler Conklin. Now, I'm not going to say the man goes up for 100 yards, 10 catches, anything like that, but I think he's going to provide very ample opportunity to continue moving the ball downfield. And this is because of the Chiefs' history, funny enough, from last season. The Chiefs' defense, for the most part, looks pretty intact, right? And they were a very good defense versus the pass last year. In one of my shorts, I mentioned that they only allowed 3 receivers with 100-yard games last year, and that was Jerry Jeudy and then 2 tight ends, Brock Bowers and Isaiah Likely. That's where the conversation begins for me and Tyler Conklin in this particular game. The Chiefs, who did not allow a whole lot of yards to the receiver position, allowed 2 tight ends to go for over 100 yards, especially Brock Bowers. He had like 140 yards or something like that in a touchdown. It was insane. So that got me looking into the rest of the games of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs, and sure enough, they give a good amount of yards to the tight end position. I think, the most, the number I saw most was in and around 50, 60 yards to the position. And then, of course, the Chargers were one of those teams last year. Stone Smart had a great game versus them. I think somewhere along the lines of 55 yards. Will Dissly had another 20 yards or so added on top of that. So that gets me thinking that maybe Tyler Conklin, who is a big upgrade at the tight end position, might see some quality targets from Justin Herbert in this one. Would it be shocking to me to see his first game, toting the powder blue, go off for 50 yards and a touchdown? Actually, it would not. I think, considering what the Chiefs defense looked like last year versus the position, not to mention now he's got the best quarterback he's ever played with in his career, I really do think that Tyler Conklin could be one of those X-factor receivers for Justin Herbert in this one. But the biggest thing I think the Chargers need to do versus the Chiefs in order to try and win this game, there's one on each side of the football. Justin Herbert, the receivers, all that stuff, very important. But the way you win this football game is on the ground. And I think a lot of that falls on the shoulders of Omarion Hampton, who is my most anticipated player to see on Friday. Of everything that's happening on Friday, Herbert's back, Keenan's back. We got all these new players in the house, and we're going to Brazil, and we're playing the Chiefs. The thing I'm looking forward to the most is Omarion Hampton. Like Ladd McConkey was my guy last season. I drafted him everywhere. I made a little mini movie on Twitter of all the instances that I was excited about him, and it's a long video. Omarion Hampton was the guy for me this season. And I can back that up with pretty much whatever you want to see, from the huge collaborative mock draft on Bleacher Report where I selected him to all the mock drafts that we did in the season. This has been my guy for a minute, and I was absolutely ecstatic when we drafted him. Now that he's here, we're starting to see all the things that I was anticipating translate to the Chargers offense, which is very run-focused now that Jim Harbaugh is here. You know what, dudes? I think the reason that we did not see like a bajillion carries from him in the preseason like we all wanted to see is because the Chargers knew exactly what they had in Omarion. He's going to be the next big thing at running back. Of course, we're anticipating Ashton Genty to be very similar, but in terms of environment, in terms of opportunity, it's Omarion Hampton for me. He's going to be put in an environment with Jim Harbaugh. He's definitely the kind of talent that you're looking for. And the one thing I don't think a lot of people mention is his upside as a receiver as well. He had a really nice stat line coming out of UNC in terms of his receiving skill set as well. So all that put together, the Chargers will probably feature him a lot in this game. Now, the Chiefs are not an easy team to run on. I don't think that they eclipsed 100 yards in either one of their matchups last season. Think it's going to happen this week, and I think the main ball carrier of that is going to be Omarion Hampton, and that's because of a couple different reasons. One, you want to get that run game going early. Obviously, it's one of the biggest things that this offense is designed to do, but two, the way you beat the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, is keeping the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. Keep their offense off the field, take control of the football game on the ground, grind the clock, and you might actually come out of this victorious versus the Chiefs. And for that reason, and for those reasons, I believe the Chargers are going to give Omarion Hampton all the opportunity in the world to be their guy in week one versus their most dangerous division rival in a game that's really going to set the tone for the season. And I don't think he's going to disappoint. I think we're in for a treat. I think Omarion Hampton is going to absolutely reward everybody who drafted him in fantasy football, and he's going to be awesome. Sure, a lot of people talk about Najee Harris. We're excited, like we talked about at the top of the video, that he's going to be suiting up for this one. But even if he was full health and he had practiced it throughout the entire preseason, I do think that the carry, the split in terms of who gets more carries will go to Omarion Hampton. I think Hampton probably stems the best chance at scoring a touchdown in this game. And with Najee Harris having to ease his way back, learning the playbook, and he hasn't practiced all that kind of stuff, I think that puts even more likeliness that Omarion Hampton kind of the guy for this one. So Omarion, super excited to see you play, my man. Let's dip into the defense a little bit. Some of the things the Chargers probably need to focus on. I wanted to start with, because we're kind of getting late here in the video already, the most important thing on defense. The most important thing on offense for me is running the football. On defense, it's pressuring the quarterback. And the Chargers look pretty good here, okay? We have been solid versus Mahomes the past couple of seasons. I think we sacked him for three sacks apiece in our last two matchups, which is pretty good, right? But I do think the situation here looks a little bit different in favor of the Chargers when it comes to getting to Patrick Mahomes. Keeping him in the pocket, getting him on the ground, providing opportunities for the defense to get off the field, absolutely pivotal to this. And the fact that the Chiefs' offensive line has seen a lot of movement only helps the Chargers in this instance. For example, rookie Josh Simmons, who I think is an awesome pick by the Chiefs. There's a lot of question marks around his availability. He should be out there for that one, right? This is a good move for the Chiefs long term, but this is also his first game in the NFL, and he's going up against some pretty stiff competition. And for that, I think he's going to get his welcome to the NFL moment versus Khalil Mack and Thule and Bud Dupree and whoever else they're going to be rotating in there, probably Caleb Murphy, a little bit of Kyle Kennard. That is going to be awesome. Not to mention, they don't have Tooney anymore. And, the other side of the terms of tackle doesn't look great either. I think the Chargers leaning on the pass rush here defensively is a really good move. It's worked for us somewhat in the past. And I think in this particular circumstance for the current, version of the Chiefs offensive line that we're going to see, it'll probably be pretty effective here. So I'm excited to see Mac and all these guys get to work. But it's going to be one of the reasons that the Chargers win or lose this game. We've got to keep Patrick Mahomes in front of us on the ground contained, and I think they're up to the challenge. Not to mention, the Chargers also pretty decent at forcing fumbles. We know Khalil Mack's great. I think Tuli's pretty great too. I think we actually forced a few fumbles versus the Chiefs last season, if I remember correctly. Pass rush is going to be very, very important in this one. Now, the way to continue layering on top of pass rush is capitalizing on interception opportunities. This is something I think the Chargers have been pretty good at. It's going to continue to grow. We know Derwin's great. We know Tarheeb still is great. We know a lot of guys out there are great. We've got to find a way to get the defense off the field, get the ball back, because those opportunities may be the difference between a loss and a win here versus Patrick Mahomes. But one of my dark horses that I wanted to talk about a little bit, I wish I would have gotten a photo of him, has been Dante Jackson. Okay, Dante Jackson, the former Steeler, Panther as well. He is on the Chargers now. And yes, he's maybe not the most exciting signing of the offseason, but he does one thing really well, and that is capitalizing. The man had 5 interceptions with the Steelers last year. He was very known for being that ball hawk in Carolina as well. Now he's on the Chargers. And if things pan out the way I think they are in terms of the pass rush versus Patrick Mahomes, he's going to have some opportunities to capitalize. And that's basically what he's done well so far in his career. 5 interceptions last year. I would say that he's maybe the guy for me to watch in terms of, oh my God, he made a big play. Nobody saw it coming. He's my dark horse. Other guys like Still, Hart, Molden, they should offer a lot in this game as well. But we got to watch out for some of the remaining weapons of Patrick Mahomes in this one, including Xavier Worthy. Chargers fans are not unfamiliar with Patrick Mahomes throwing to a speedy receiver. It was Tyreek Hill for very many years. We can't start allowing that with Worthy. Now, Worthy's not the same player as Hill, but he does have the speed. Last season, we allowed 73 yards and 40 yards in our last 2 games versus Worthy. So I think we're up to the task of holding him down, but he's probably going to see more attention now that the Chiefs don't have Rashee Rice and their other receivers, Royals, who's not going to be suiting up in this. So with those guys gone, Worthy's going to be a big part of it. Make sure to keep that speed contained. But the big guy I think that the Chargers need to watch out for is going to be Travis Kelce in the passing game. Has been declining. I'm not going to lie. I think everybody sees it. He went, a bajillion rounds later than I thought he would in fantasy football in the last couple of seasons. And it's for good reason. We're probably seeing the last couple of years of Travis Kelce. But he is going to be one that I think Patrick Mahomes looks to a lot in this game. Fortunately for us, like I said, we have Derwin James. They have been a great pairing to watch pit each other against over the last several years, maybe the better part of the last decade. And it's because they are both so good. And I'm going to say it's been a tough battle. Kelce's had a whole lot of really good yards versus us. I think over the last 7 seasons, he's had 4 games with over 100 rush or over 100 receiving yards. But recently, it's been Derwin James with the edge. So we can hope to hold him to under 50 yards. And then outside of that, of course, Isaiah Pacheco. We're kind of waiting to see how he bounces back. I know there was an injury last year. I think the Chargers' run defense has an opportunity to prove that they're the real deal here. Not that the Chiefs are going to be running a whole lot, but one that, we got to make sure we pay attention to. The last thing I wanted to close this video out with, because this is an absolutely crucial point to be made going into this game and into the future, is the reality of the situation for the Chargers' schedule. All right. We want to keep this game in front of us. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I want to emphasize how important this game is because of how the rest of the season is going to follow in the early parts of the year. Okay, in the first month of football for the Chargers in 2025, we will be facing, of course, the Chiefs on Friday, followed up by the Raiders on a Monday Night Football game, and then the Broncos the following week after that. Guys, this is an absolutely brutal stretch of 3 games, back to back to back, division rival matchups that could absolutely define the season. Okay, a lot of people, let's say we start 1-2 or 0-3, God forbid, right? You say, well, you got a lot of football ahead of you. We'll figure it out. This is not the case this time. We have to win a majority of these games. These are division matchups. And starting with the Chiefs is a pretty tall order, but also a opportunity. If the Chargers can go into Brazil and find a way to take down the Chiefs, what do you think that does for the momentum going in versus the Raiders, which I think is probably the bottom of the division right now, and then, of course, the Broncos, which are also going to be a pretty tough matchup? It does wonders for you. And that's why I think the Chargers, yes, it's going to be a tough matchup. I think a lot of people in the NFL expect us to lose this game. It's imperative that we try and win this game because it's going to set the tone for the next 2 games. That could set the tone for the entire season. That could define the 2025 season. We've got to figure this out. And you know what? I have a lot of faith that the Chargers will find a way to win this game. I think the biggest, points of emphasis that I've made, get to Patrick Mahomes, pass rush, huge, run the football, control the clock, that's huge. But ultimately, it's one that, it's so important that by any means you find a way to start the season off strong because it's only going to get, tougher from here. And the 3 games in terms of division matchups, you're going to carry that with you the entire season. All right. And with that, my score prediction, like we do each and every week, I got the Chargers on the national stage. Just like I remember sitting and watching and having my eyes blown out by the excitement of the Lions taking them down in that season opener. I got the Chargers doing the same thing in front of the world. This big showdown, shocking the NFL fandom with a win here. Chargers will win it 27 to the Chiefs 23, and really putting a stamp on the season and a stamp on the era for Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, that this is a different unit, this is a different team. It took Jim Harbaugh 1 season to win double-digit games. Now here we are in season 2, where I think our sight is firmly on the postseason and taking the division, and it all kind of starts here. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. And do not forget, we got fantasy football, we got daily fantasy sports, we have got Underdog to look forward to as soon as tomorrow. I'm so excited for the season opener. Football is officially back, baby. Kick your feet up, have a good time, enjoy yourselves, and get excited for the Chargers versus Chiefs this Friday on YouTube.